Well, hello there, everyone. How you doing on this super Saturday? It is, let me see, January the 20th, year 2024. I had to write that down because my Fitbit died on me, so, I don't look at that anymore for the time or the date. Anyway, hopefully you don't outstanding. I'm Mazske Finance. And remember, as always, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a CPA, not an attorney. I'm not a doctor or nutritionist. I'm just the guy who tries to help y'all out. And before I get started, see, what I'm going to do today is, and my hearing's still messed up too. I'm sorry about that. So I have trouble. I don't sound correct when I talk. So I did try something to see if I could fix this problem. I used hydrogen peroxide in my ears. Just let it soak in there a couple different times. Years and years and years ago, I had a sinus cold or something. And I remember I did that and it helped clear me out. But anyway, it's been, say, 24 hours and if anything, I'm a little bit worse now than I was. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Hopefully I'm not losing my hearing. That wouldn't be good at all. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to continue talking about how I was introduced to Gary, Indiana. It's progress of when I bought my rental property. I started in Virginia. I branched out to Birmingham, Alabama, and then I moved into Gary, Indiana. Okay, and like I said, please don't take me the wrong way. Just because I did this does not mean that anyone else can do it. It does not mean that you cannot do better than I did. It does not mean you can be you can be more successful than me. I try to help y'all out in any which way I can. Okay, so please never misunderstand anything I say. I just try to share stories, how I did things. Maybe you can pick up a nugget here or there to help you in your journey towards, hopefully, financial independence. But again, just one property or two can change your life. 4, Mike Zuber's famous for this, 4 can really change your life. Okay? So with that being said, we wrapped up yesterday's video at the end of 2018 when I had 6 rental units. Okay? So 2019 came along. A couple things happened. I had been retired by then. I was working part-time in a YMCA. Okay, working in that YMCA, a couple things happened. One, late 2018, I was a guest on Michael Zuber's channel, One Rental at a Time. Okay, I talked about how I think I had gone from no rentals to 6 rentals without having a whole lot of money. And I explained it all in that video to him. And then a short while later, I can't remember exactly when, I saw a video on Michael Zuber's channel with Millennial Mike. And I texted Zuber and I asked him, can you put me in touch with Millennial Mike? And he did so. And Mike and myself have become friends since then. Okay? So more on that later. All right. But then as well, sometime in 2019-ish, early 2019, I had texted Zuber and asked him his opinion on something. I was considering using a turnkey operator. He was not located in Gary, Indiana. Was not located in Indiana at all. And I asked Zuber if he knew of this turnkey provider. He replied to me, Michael Zuber replied to me, and said he did not know that particular one. Because I told him I was thinking about, even though I had self-managed properties, I bought an out-of-state property, got my first property manager. I was thinking about using a turnkey company just to get myself introduced to a new market. So he said he could put me in touch with a gentleman named Tom Olson. Tom Olson is up in Northwest Indiana. He put me in touch with Tom Olson. Tom Olson put me in touch with Jared Stokemeister. Jared is Tom's right-hand man. Okay? Yeah, I said that right. So anyway, I talked to them and I ended up using them to buy a rental house in Gary, Indiana. However, the way I did this was, by this time I had found out about self-directed IRAs. I had a self-directed IRA with stocks in it, and I had enough in stocks, the value was enough, where I could sell the stocks, transfer the money over to a self-directed IRA, and have enough to purchase a house. I did that. When I bought this house, I don't have those notes in front of me. I paid cash for it. I think it cost me, I'll double check this, $69,000, maybe $69,900. It's one of the more expensive homes that I have bought in Gary, Indiana. It might be the most expensive home I've bought in Gary, Indiana. I got to double check that too. All right. So anyway, I bought that house. And then in March, I think it was, March, April, May, the YMCA sent me to Chicago, Illinois for a week of training. So I asked the director there, I said, do you mind? It was like a Monday through Thursday or something like that. And I would have wrapped up my class on Thursday afternoon. So I asked the director of the YMCA, could I spend one additional night in Chicago? Because it'd be late anyway, and my flight would be on Friday. And I said, would you mind if I stayed a little bit longer and flew back late Friday, because I want to drive over to Gary, Indiana, because I had not been there yet, and I had bought my first house there in that self-directed IRA. So he gave me permission. So I had a buddy fly up. He spent the night with me. We went out and had deep dish Chicago pizza that night, Thursday night. And on Friday, we got up and we drove over to Gary, Indiana. And we met Jared and other staff there. Jared drove us around. He took me to that one rental house that I had bought. We went inside it. And we also went into another half a dozen or so houses. We drove through different neighborhoods. We saw burnt out houses. We saw run down houses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I liked Jared. We had a nice talk. So when I got back, I'm losing track of the months there, how it was. It might have been March. So when I got back, I had been thinking about doing something, or I may have already started the process of doing it. My second rental house that I bought in the Shenandoah Valley, I had determined I did not like this house in regards to being a rental house. I thought it could be a liability. It was a nice house. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a full basement. It had been rehabbed prior to me buying it. French doors were put into the walkout basement. New Berber carpet was put down, and some new stuff was done. But I got the house after it had been a bad situation with a husband-wife couple, and all I tell you is the husband went after the wife. He broke the front door, he broke the bedroom door, he broke the bathroom door to get to her. So he broke 3 doors. So when I bought it, 3 doors were broken, and the place was just filthy. The guy was gone, he had been arrested, and the girl just wanted out. She just wanted out, okay? So anyway, the house was situated below street levels on a cul-de-sac. When you go down a hill, it was down below street level. It had old dilapidated wooden steps leading down there, which were a liability. I had those steps rebuilt. I think prior to getting a tenant in there, or maybe right about the time about prior to getting a tenant in there, I think, or right when they were moving in. And so I had brand new steps built there. And I did some other stuff. I painted it and cleaned it up and this and that. But the longer I kept that house, and I had some good tenants in there, I just thought it was a liability because the driveway was steep, the steps were steep, it gets cold, snow, ice. If a tenant falls, I don't want to be liable. So I made the decision to sell that. When I sold it in 2019, I bought it at a good price. I bought it for $97,000. It had been appraised at, I think, $118,000. When I sold it for $135,000 to $140,000. So not only did I make a profit, say $35,000, $40,000, I also got back my 20% down payment, which on a $100,000 house, that's about 20 grand, right? 19,000 something. So I got that back. So I took that money then and I rolled it into getting 4 houses. I bought 4 houses from the Olson Group in Gary, Indiana. 1, 2, 3, 4. I ran the numbers and I said, if I can get cash flow of $250 per house, that's $1,000 for 4 houses, where my one house in the Shenandoah Valley was giving me positive cash flow of pushing $300. So I traded kind of sort of a $300 house, $300 a month cash flow house for 4 houses, give me, say, roughly $1,000. Okay? So I did that. I also, remember I mentioned buying one house in Birmingham, Alabama? During the course of 2019, I bought a second house in Birmingham, Alabama. I used a 401k loan. My wife was working. She had a 401k. We had enough money was in there. You could take out a maximum of 50% of the value of the account. I think that's what it was. And what we ended up doing was finding a house in Birmingham for $24,000. It needed a full rehab, which cost me $22,000. So it was $46,000 all in. So I used that 401k loan to purchase the house, rehab the house, and then I had to have 6 months seasoning. And after 6 months, I'll cross my fingers to get the appraisal done, and the appraisal came in at $77,000. So I did a cashback refinance, got a mortgage on it for $51,500, I think it was. And anyway, I got cash back, and I paid off the 401k loan. So I considered it my free house, and I was drawing a blank there for a minute. I'm sorry about that. I think I'm a little foggy up here. So, but I paid that house in full with 401k money, paid the 401k back, so it was kind of like no money out of pocket. All right, fast forward now. At the end of 2019, that gave me a total of 11 units. I sold one house, and I bought 6 more. I bought 4 in Gary, 1 in my self-directed IRA, and 1 down in Birmingham. So I ended up 2019 with 11 units. In 2020, and I'm going to speed through this, and then I'll make a subsequent video talking about my cash flow on my variety of houses and some tweaks I've done to my portfolio since then. In 2020, I bought, I'll summarize it for you, 14 houses during 2020. Okay, I bought a total, this won't be in order, but I bought a total of 9 houses using seller financing. All 9 of them, I bought them from an individual. He gave me 4.9% interest, which 4.9% interest I thought was high back then. It's cheap now. He wanted 15-year amortization. I wanted the cash flow from 30-year amortization. He would not agree to 30-year amortization because he told me he was older. He said he wanted all his money before he died. I understood that because I'm no spring chicken myself. So I thought about it, and I called him up then and bounced an idea off him. What if I bought these 9 houses, and what if I had 30-year amortization, but I owed the balance due on each house at the 15-year mark? Meaning I could get that 30-year amortization cash flow, but by the 15-year mark, I would have to pay all the houses off in full. I could sell them to pay them off, I could refinance them to pay them off, or I could just pay them off. Okay? He agreed to that. So I did buy those 9 houses, seller financing. I bought one other house in my spouse's self-directed IRA. That was also from the Olson Group, so we bought that house from the Olson Group. I also bought, late in the year, I bought 2 houses off the MLS. I found one. It was like $59,500. This was like towards the end of October, November of 2020. I found one $59,500, and then like a week or 2 later, I was just starting the mortgage process. I found another one. It was like $59,900. It was one of them was first, one was second. So I got those 2 houses back to back off the MLS, and I know it was tight to get those down payments, but somehow I did it. Okay, so I got those done. And also, I got a phone call from a contact I had made up there. He had 4 houses that he had found that were all good buys. I could not swing getting all 4. So my buddy who had flown up to Chicago and went to Gary with me, I talked to him about it. He bought 2 of those houses. I bought the other 2. All right. So to wrap up, I got 14 houses, 9 seller financing, 2 off the MLS, 1 in self-directed IRA, and 2 from that contact off-market deals. Okay, one of them was a house for $18,000. I had to pay cash on that one, which strapped me. It was tight again buying that. But I bought that for $18,000, and then it needed about $5,000 in rehab. So all in, I think with closing costs when I bought it, was about $24,500 for that. So that was the first house that wasn't a self-directed IRA that I paid cash for, because it was too cheap to get a mortgage on that one. Okay, so I wrapped up 2020 with a total of 25 units. Okay, I know I sped through that. That's how I did it. All of us have our own journeys in life. All of us have different ways of doing things. Since then, I have tweaked my portfolio. I have sold both my Birmingham houses. I bought 2 houses in Chicago. I sold 1 in Chicago. And I ended up selling my triplex also. I also, at the end of 2020, discovered mineral rights acreage, and I made my first purchase in buying a mineral right portfolio. And I also found out about oil drilling and made a small purchase in a working interest oil drilling operation. Okay? So anyway, I will wrap this video up and I will crunch some numbers on my spreadsheet and write them down or carry the spreadsheet in. And it might be tomorrow, it might be the next day, it might be the next day. I will make another video and I will tell you, I don't want to confuse you the way I do my videos because I don't put graphics up, nothing like that. But I kind of want to tell you prices I paid and how much cash flow I'm getting. And what I will tell you, I'm going to give you a little nugget right now. Here in 2024, I recently got 4 letters in the mail from my mortgage holders for 4 of my Gary houses. And these were 4 that I got from the Olsen Group. Those 4. I got no more mortgages on them. The escrow payments were all going up substantially because both taxes and insurance, primarily insurance, I think, have gone up. And one of my mortgages went up $160, $180. Another went up like $50, $75. So that really, that one in particular really impacted my positive cash flow. I still get positive cash flow, but it impacted it just now. That's why when you buy, do your best to get a good deal. Do your best to cash flow at least whatever your minimum criteria is, because taxes and insurance, if you get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, you're safe, but taxes and insurance can go up on you. And if your escrow account goes up $180, like your payment, your monthly payment goes up $180, if you had $250 a month cash flow, now you got $70 a month cash flow, right? So it can hurt. All right, so it's something to keep in mind with real estate. Real estate, you will always spend money, knowing that that's not a bad thing because you own houses. Like I'm sitting in a casita right now. It's solid, right? I can reach out and touch this thing. It's solid. It's a piece of property. So if you buy a rental property, it's an asset. It's there. It's real. You got it. But it's always going to take money to fix it up. It's going to take money to pay the mortgage, so on and so on and so on. So you need to develop frugality because you want to save up money and you want to build up cash reserves, because if you get multiple properties and you have to rehab 5 in a row, 6 in a row, it can cost a big chunk of money. You could be talking $50,000 to $100,000 to rehab 5 houses, right? And I did that last year or the year before. I rehabbed a bunch, all right? But along the way, and this will be a future video, I did start buying more and more and more mineral rights acres. I added more to my oil drilling investment. I bought a tequila distillery investment, bought into it, and I recently bought into a pipeline because that's just me. I like other investments. I like investments in general. I like stocks. I just bought some more dividend paying stocks the other day. I put some money into my brokerage account and don't know why I did it. I like buying investments. So you curious about my dividend stocks? I'll tell you about them in a future video too. All right. I try to share things I've done because we all have different paths in life. We all have different journeys. Not everybody wants to be a real estate investor. Not everybody needs to be a real estate investor. But everybody needs to put some money away and hopefully invest it. Dividend stocks is just another alternative. Okay, so the stock market's another alternative. The stock market can be risky. That's a topic for another video. All right, this has got too long. My apologies. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I do appreciate it. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. And with that being said, Mazke's signing out.